Marvel fans, comic geeks, and all the nerds in between. My name is Megan, and I'm here with another character breakdown today, and it is a course of mutants. And it is a mutant I think should be talked about way more than he actually is. So we're going to talk about Bishop. Lucas Bishop is a character I've wanted to make an episode about for quite some time. Even though he's so well known, he is still disrespectfully underrated and extremely underused in Marvel Comics, and I think it's time we put some respect on our boy's name. So, Bishop first appeared in Marvel Comics in Uncanny X-Men number 282. That was in September of 1991, but he was just on the cover and the last page, which is a super big tease. He actually had his first full appearance in Uncanny X-Men number 283. He was created by John Byrne and Whilce Portacio. Lucas Bishop was born into the kind of future that makes every dystopian movie look optimistic. Mutants have been shoved into concentration camps after a so-called mutant messiah supposedly killed 1 million humans. The X-Men were mostly dead. Sentinels ruled everything. And humanity basically decided coexistence was a failed group project. Bishop and his sister Shard grew up in one of these camps with a giant M tattooed on their eyes, like the government really said, let's make oppression extra dramatic. His parents, Australian mutants Burnham and Katie, tried to survive in this nightmare world, but life in the camps crushed everyone eventually. Bishop watched his mother slowly lose hope before she died, and from a young age, he blamed the mutant messiah for ruining mutant kind forever. So, while most kids were learning multiplication tables, Bishop was learning generational trauma. Eventually, humans and mutants teamed up in the Summers Rebellion and overthrew the Sentinels, proving once again that humanity only cooperates after things become catastrophically bad. But peace didn't magically happen afterward. Anti-mutant hatred was still everywhere. Mutant extremist groups were running around, and Bishop's parents ended up dying in the rebellion when he was only 7. Casual comic book childhood stuff, you know? Separated from his family, Bishop survived on the streets of Manhattan, where a mysterious old man called the Witness basically adopted him and taught him how to steal. So Bishop's childhood resume at this point included concentration camp survivor, orphan, pickpocket, and deeply angered child. Very, very healthy development. 10 out of 10 would recommend. He eventually reunited with Shard and his grandmother in Las Vegas, where his grandmother constantly told stories about the X-Men and Xavier's dream of peace. Bishop honestly was not buying it at first, which is fair, and I wouldn't have either. To him, the XSE, the mutant police officers trying to maintain order, were basically the enemy, while anti-human mutant rebels looked like freedom fighters. Then one day, an extremist mutant named Virago grabbed Shard hostage, and little Bishop jumped onto her back without hesitation. Virago was fully ready to murk this child before the XSC officer named Sure Shot blasted Virago first. That moment completely changed Bishop's worldview. He realized that the XSE weren't corrupt monsters, but actually were people trying to stop the world from falling apart. So naturally, Bishop decided, yep, that's what I'm going to do now. Soon after, another pair of mutant criminals attacked Bishop and Shard. While trying to save his sister, Bishop's mutant powers finally kicked in, and 2 XSE officers were impressed enough to recruit him. Real quick about his powers, Bishop is basically a walking cosmic power strip. He can absorb any kind of energy, magic, sound, light, psychic attacks, random explosions, and then fire it back however he wants. Energy blasts, plasma, explosions, flaming chaos, it is all on the menu. But the best part, he can send the energy back the same way he got hit with it, except cranked up to you should have minded your business levels. Anyways, Bishop agreed on one condition. Shard comes too. Because if there's one thing consistent about Bishop, it's that his loyalty to his family is absolutely unmatched, even when comics repeatedly weaponize that against him. It's comics, you know. At the XSE Academy, Bishop trained along future psychopath Trevor Fitzroy, which in hindsight should have been a gigantic red flag. Bishop and Shard eventually became officers, but tragedy hit when Fitzroy indirectly transformed Shard into a horrifying energy-draining monster called an M-Plate. And because Marvel writers apparently saw Bishop smiling once and decided to punish him for it, Bishop was forced to kill his own sister to stop her suffering. Except comics really never let people stay dead, usually, unless your name is Uncle Ben. And Karen Page. Yep, both of them. They're done. Shard's consciousness got uploaded into a hologram projector onto Bishop's wrist, meaning Bishop basically walked around with a ghost Wi-Fi sister support for years. Later, while hunting Fitzroy, Bishop uncovered a cryptic warning from Jean Grey about a traitor among the X-Men survivors. Fitzroy escaped through time to the X-Men's present era, and Bishop chased him there with two friends, Malcolm and Randall, fully aware they had no home. Malcolm and Randall died during the mission, and Bishop got wrecked physically and emotionally. And somehow this still wasn't the worst week of his life. He ended up joining the X-Men, though his methods were aggressive. Like if an alarm went off and Wolverine might say snicked, and Cyclops might make a plan, Bishop would simply shoot through three walls because the doors were apparently optional in his mind, to put it in perspective. Then came time travel disasters, alternate timelines, the Age of Apocalypse, you might have heard of it, chronal energy nonsense, and enough reality rewrites to give anyone a migraine. Bishop became one of the few people who remembered the real timeline during the Age of Apocalypse, meaning he basically carried the burden of knowing the world was fundamentally wrong while everyone else acted normal. Imagine being the only person who remembers the group project got deleted. So he fought alongside the X-Men for years after that, surviving space missions, alien prison, apocalypse, and every imaginable cosmic problem. But then came the moment that absolutely broke him. After M-Day, it always goes back to M-Day with the mutants, which it should. It's kind of a big deal. It's when almost all mutants lost their powers, thanks to the Scarlet Witch. The first mutant baby born afterward appeared. Bishop became convinced she was the same mutant messiah from his future, the one responsible for the death of millions of humans and the destruction of mutant kind. That baby was Hope Summers. And Bishop absolutely lost it. He sabotaged Sentinels, destroyed the Xavier Institute, tried to murk Hope as an infant, as a baby, shot at Cable, accidentally shot Professor Xavier in the head instead, which is fine, I'm good with it. Stole time travel tech, and spent literal years chasing Cable and Hope across history like the world's angriest Terminator. The worst part is, the more he tried to stop the future, the more suffering he caused. Entire timelines got obliterated because Bishop convinced himself that those people weren't real yet anyway. At one point, he even teamed up with Strife, which is basically the mutant equivalent of saying, I can make worse decisions, actually. And he still failed. Cable stranded him thousands of years in the future with no way home, leaving Bishop alone in a wasteland with nothing except regret and enough emotional baggage to collapse a star. That's where everything finally changed. A group called The Order saved him, gave him a home, and helped him rebuild his life hunting monsters called the Revenants. For the first time in forever, Bishop stopped running on rage alone. Then he met a possessed little girl named Amber during a hunt, and when she begged him not to kill her, he hesitated. That hesitation mattered. Because for years, Bishop believed survival meant making the hard choice no matter the cost. Kill the threat, stop the future, sacrifice who you have to. But in that moment, he realized he'd become the very thing he hated, someone willing to destroy innocence in the name of fear. Eventually, he returned to the present, got possessed by a demon bear because apparently the universe still was not done hazing him, fought X-Force and had his memories tampered with, and finally confronted the damage he'd caused. Hope Summers herself eventually had the chance to kill him for everything he'd done to her, and she chose not to. That mercy broke through whatever years of war could not. Since then, Bishop has built himself piece by piece, brick by brick. He fought alongside the X-Men again, survived alternate realities, got trapped in worlds where love itself is illegal, and eventually rose to become one of Krakoa's top military leaders and great captains. At his core, Bishop's story is about survival, guilt, and redemption. He started as a man trying to stop the future from destroying mutant kind, only to become dangerously close to the very thing he feared. What makes Bishop such a compelling character, for me at least, isn't that he's perfect. It isn't that he's an absolute angel. It's because he actually isn't. He absolutely is not. This man has made catastrophically bad decisions. But Bishop is what happens when someone is shaped entirely by trauma, fear, and survival, then spends the rest of their life trying to crawl back from the edge of becoming a monster. He's not a clean cut hero who always makes the right decision. He's the guy who's seen the worst possible future, carried it on his back for years, lost himself trying to stop it, and then kept fighting anyways. Lucas Bishop isn't inspiring because he never fell. He's inspiring because after falling harder than almost anyone in the X-Men world, he still found a way to stand back up. So that is Lucas Bishop. I think he's a fantastic character. He has, like all X-Men, like all mutants, they have such a tragic backstory and such a tragic upbringing, and I dig that about them. Maybe it's me. Maybe I'm the problem. I don't know. So that is my character breakdown for Bishop. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you'll like and subscribe, and I hope you have a marvelous day.